This is the Hyundai Ioniq 6, the slippery brother to the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Looks like a total different car, but it has the exact same drivetrain. So this is driving on the rear wheels and has the big battery of 77.4 kilowatt hours of gross capacity. That's an NMC battery with a net capacity of 74 kilowatt hours. It has a stunning VLTP range of 614 kilometers. Compare that to the 507 for the exact same drivetrain in the Ioniq 5. So that tells us that the exterior design really matters when trying to build an efficient car. Small rims, 18-inch wheels, 225, 55 all around. So pretty narrow tires for being an electric car. And that's good in this case because it actually keeps the consumption low. The strange thing though is that it's 120 kilograms heavier than the Ioniq 5 with the same setup, so 2065 kilograms. It has a total length of 4.85 meters, so it's 20 centimeters longer than the Ioniq 5, but has 5 centimeters shorter wheelbase. So wheelbase on this one is still long, 2.95 meters, so it's a big car. So the whole concept around the Ioniq 6 is efficiency. So this current version is running on the rear wheels, has 229 horsepower and 350 newton meters of torque. It does 0 to 100 in 7.4 seconds. But does it really do that? Can this car manage 7.4 seconds? Is 120 kilograms heavier than the Ioniq 5. It's also a longer car. I'm going to test that in my next video, so stay tuned for that one. But you can also get this car in an all-wheel drive version. I would go for the rear-wheel drive version because, as I said, it's all about efficiency, and you will ruin the efficiency by adding four-wheel drive to this car. This is the concept. This is how it should be. Keep it that way. And let's move to the rear end of this car. Does it look like another brand for you? For me, it resembles Porsche. Maybe it's the wing and the very unique taillight. I'm not sure, but there is elements in the car that resembles Porsche's rear ends. I think it's a cool combination, nice design. And as on the Ioniq 5, Hyundai has also worked with pixel designs on the Ioniq 6. So the pixel design goes through the whole car. As you see, the taillights on top of the rear wing, headlights, the side view mirrors, and also some elements inside the car. For instance, on top of the steering wheel. I mean, look at the side profile and the roofline, the sloping roofline going all the way down towards the back end of the car, the double wings at the back, the round shape of the rear end, the round shape of the front, designed as a soap, a traditional soap, and it looks very aerodynamic and sporty. Hyundai has really worked hard on keeping the drag coefficient, the air resistance of the Ioniq 6 to a very low level. So 0.21 in CD value, that's very low, among the lowest and most slippery cars on the market today. So what about charging? The Ioniq 6 really shines when it comes to charging. 240 kilowatts of peak charging speed on DC chargers, fast chargers, 800 volt battery system, charged 10 to 80% in only 18 minutes. That's quick. AC charging, home charging, 11 kilowatts. That's more or less normal, and you don't need any more than that. And on top of the charging speeds, it also has the capability of vehicle to load. So now I'm actually going to show you, I'm going to charge my Model Y Performance just next to the car and see how much power it can deliver. It says 3.6 kilowatts. Let's try that out. And connect the Choco and the mobile charger to the outlet. Press the power button and you're all set to charge the Tesla Model Y. Now let's connect the Tesla to the Ioniq and see how much power we can receive. It's charging. The mobile charger says 10 amps, and I think that's the output limit of this specific mobile charger. Let's check inside the Model Y. So as you see, I get 2 kilowatts, 10 amps of 10 available, 230 volts. So the limitation is not that car, the limitation is the charger. Can this be the solution for electric car road assistance? Having a fleet, or gathering a fleet of private Ioniq 6 owners to act as a network of road assistance, charging electric cars that's stuck on the road. That's a new business proposal for you guys. Let's have a look at the boot space. I just approached to the car with the key fob on me. If I keep it close enough to the car, it automatically feels that I'm close to the boot and opens it. No kick sensor, just some smartness. Probably it uses the camera and sensing the key close to the boot. For 3 seconds, it opens it automatically. That's a convenient feature. So, boot capacity, 401 liters. It's a small boot for this size of a car, but this car is not about boot capacity. You can still fold the seats in a split between... Oh, look, it's a reindeer. Wanted to be on YouTube. What do you want? You want to join me? Come on. Ah, he's running away. Okay, let's try this again. So back to the boot space for the third time. 401 liters of space, foldable seats split into 40 and 60. Some extra storage underneath here. Looks like 15 liters, 20 liters maybe. You can store some extra cables in here. And on top of this space of 401 liters, you also have a frunk. And I think that's 47 liters. So in the frunk you can store your mobile charger, type 2 cables, etc. So you don't need to have any cables back here. You can keep it clean and only use it for other things. Yeah, so this car is not about practicality, it's about efficiency. Don't forget that. So welcome to the back seat of the Ioniq 6. Amazingly good legroom. I'm really surprised because the wheelbase is shorter, 5 centimeters shorter than on the Ioniq 5, but still more legroom. The front seat is adjusted after my liking, so I'm 193 centimeters tall, 6'3". So I'm a tall guy, but still good amount of legroom. Not that good thigh support, but there never is, for me at least, not in the back seats. 2 USB-C ports in the middle console, 2 adjustable air vents, control buttons for the driver to control the passenger seat. Not any adjustable backrests, so fixed position, but you can fold them for creating more cargo capacity. Not that good headroom. This is the Achilles heel of the Ioniq 6. That's the rear bench headroom. It's not suitable for me. I mean, I can't sit straight. If I sit straight, I need to lean my head sideways to be able to fit. But for kids or shorter people, it will work just fine, but not for me. I will probably never travel in the back seat in a Ioniq 6. You also have power window control on the armrest and seat heating. So 2-step seat heating on both side positions in the rear seats. So that's good to be able to control them yourself and not by the touchscreen in the front only. That's all from the back seat. Now it's time to look at the front seat and the front of the cabin. Let's go. It's time to check the interior, the front seats. All black interior, A lot of design elements is taken directly from the Ioniq 5 and shared by the platform. The gear selector, for instance, the steering wheel. The steering wheel is updated though with real pixel lights inside of the steering wheel. On the Ioniq 5 it's just, they're not lit up, it's just dents into the steering wheel, kind of a logotype, but not in this case. This actually changes color when you change the drive mode. Otherwise a tidy interior, a bit futuristic. These things on the side here is actually to support screens instead of side view mirrors. So they have kept that design, probably to keep it easy to just attach the screens instead. I'm not sure, I think it looks a bit strange without the screens, so they could have been taking those away, but it probably adds some complexity to the production. Otherwise, a tidy cabin, nice interior, ambient lighting in front on the dash. You can change the colors. Also ambient lighting going through the top of the armrest, and a second part below the armrest lighting up the bottom part that's transparent, by the way, so it gives you a nice effect during nighttime. And you can use separate themes for the top ambient lighting and the bottom ambient lighting, so we can use different colors, for instance. Another big change comparing to the Ioniq 5 is actually the mid console. There's no longer any buttons or power controls on your armrest on the door sides. They are placed in the middle instead. I think this works good. I mean, it's convenient both for you and for your passenger if someone wants to control the windows in the rear, for instance. So I think it's clever to have them all together in the middle. So you have the auto hold button, lock, unlock, power windows, and child lock support, all collected at the same place. There's also a Qi charger on top of the central console with a light indicator of if it's charging or not. And just beside the charger you have a USB-A port, and that port is actually for you to connect your phone to connect Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, because this car doesn't have support for wireless auto or CarPlay. 2 adaptive cup holders, a central storage compartment, not that big, but you can fit a couple of cables, etc. You have 2 USB-C ports in this for charging, that's great, and a small pocket here, probably perfect for storing your key. You have a very big storage compartment underneath this central console where you can store a lot of things. It's rubber mat on the bottom, so it's not slippery, but I think if you don't put flat things here, they will tumble around and make some noise. And instead of a classic glove box, there is a drawer exactly the same as in the Ioniq 5. Let's have a look at the materials. Soft touch materials on top of the dash. This car is equipped with head-up display, but it's a lot better integrated in the dash compared to the Ioniq 5. I like this look. This looks clean and thought through in a good way. Otherwise, hard touch materials, pixel element designs here. This is nice looking. Looks like brushed aluminium, but it's probably plastic. You have the classic control panel here, exactly the same as in the Ioniq 5. Is not denting out the same way, so it's a bit more far away to be able to press the buttons. So we have a couple of hardware buttons here. So we have shortcuts for map, navigation, media, a favorite button, a tune with a tune selector, activating the backup camera and surrounding cameras, activating and deactivating the park sensors. So underneath the row of physical buttons there is capacitive buttons like a screen where you control the climate. So we can control the 2 zones, left zone and right zone. Now the right zone is actually automatically not activated since no one is sitting in the passenger seat, and that's to save energy of course, smart functionality, a physical start and stop button. I always complain about physical start and stop buttons. I don't think they are needed, but I know that a lot of people like physical start and stop buttons on EVs, so I won't whine about that in this video, maybe in a separate one. Two 12-inch screens, one media screen and control screen, and one instrument cluster. The instrument cluster is almost a bit too big because you have a hard time see it all through the steering wheel. But I mean, they have designed it that way that there is no information on top of the corners. So two big screens, you get all the information you need. They are nicely located, if you ask me, a bit far away for reaching out, but you get used to it and the implementation is good. It's time for some driving and testing out the Ioniq 6 finally. It's a pleasant drive. I will start testing the different regen modes, and in the Ioniq the regen is a separated setting from the drive mode, so I can adjust the regen with the paddles behind the steering wheel. So now I'm actually running the iPedal mode, which is the highest regen mode. iPedal is the same as one pedal driving. That's the way I want to drive my electric cars, so I'm happy to see that Hyundai has got that to work in a good way. I think it's using the brakes when the regen is not enough, but still a pleasant thing to use. When I press the right side, there is level 3. That's the highest regen without using iPedal mode. Doesn't take you to a complete stop, but is a decent amount of regen. Level 2 is even softer. Not that big difference between level 2 and level 3. Let's check level 1. Yeah, level 1 is almost like coasting. Not really, but not much regen at all. Level 1 is no regen at all, and that's exactly like coasting. I don't feel any difference, so that's a good thing to do when driving long trips. So put it on 0 when there's a long slope where you can coast. That's a good function. But I prefer iPedal driving exactly the same as on the Ioniq 5. So let's jump over to the drive modes. There's 3 different drive modes: Eco, Normal, and Sport. So I don't know if you see that on the camera, but when I toggle between drive modes, it shows me different color schemes on top of the steering wheel. And I bet you can guess what color Sport mode is. Red. Sport is always red. And the layout on the instrument cluster also changes. I don't know if it looks more sporty, but it looks more angular and pixelated design. Let's start with the Eco mode. The Eco mode also gives you a bit more of a so now when I do that with my steering wheel, it thinks that I'm tired because I'm turning around in the lane. So that's actually the rest setting. Tells me to, now it's time for you to take a rest. So Eco mode gives us a softer steering wheel. Suspension is not an active suspension, classic steel suspension, so no difference when it comes to suspension, but the steering wheel gets a lot softer on Eco mode. So now I'm actually driving on some gravel just to get a feeling of the noise level, but also the suspension and comfort. It's very close to the Ioniq 5. Let's see. So when it comes to noise, feels good, nothing strange. The suspension handles the gravel good. Let's see if we can find any potholes. Yeah, here is a bit uneven road. No strange sounds from the suspension. still silent and still handles this in a good way. Not too stiff. I forgot to mention that there is a auto mode when it comes to regen, and then it adapts to the conditions you are in. So for instance, in traffic it behaves more like a one pedal driving. On highways with a lot of space it will lower the regen, so it adapts depending on the driving conditions. It's hard to understand what the Eco mode actually does, besides making the steering wheel more light, because the acceleration feels, the same. I don't feel the real difference. Maybe it limits the air conditioning, but I saw there is a specific or individual setting for limiting the air conditioning without running on Eco mode, so I'm not sure. Let's jump over to normal. So now I'm driving in normal. I don't feel any difference. Steering wheel feels the same as in Eco mode. Don't know about the acceleration. Yeah, maybe there is a difference. I don't feel that big of a difference. So normal feels like Eco for me. Let's try that again. Yeah, maybe a small difference in acceleration. Not sure, not able to feel the difference. So you can drive on Eco mode instead of using normal. Let's try sport mode. It felt a bit more light immediately after entering the sport mode. Yeah, so it's now it's more aggressive. Now I feel the difference. I didn't feel any speed or acceleration difference between Eco and normal, but in sports mode there is a difference. It's a lot more aggressive, a lot more granular on the acceleration pedal. Yeah, rear wheel drive, 229 horsepower. The steering is a bit harder, feels better if you ask me, and you really feel the difference between normal and sport. I would skip the normal mode, just use Eco or sport. Eco if you want to save energy, of course, but sport if you want to have some more fun. So the suspension feels a bit stiffer in a good way than the Ioniq 5. This one is also running on small wheels, even smaller than on an Ioniq 5, so 18-inch wheels, so a lot of rubber. Feels like there is a bit less body roll, but there is still a bit of a body roll, more than I'm used to. So if you want to have a more sporty driving experience, I should go for the 20-inch wheels. But the 20-inch wheels will add to the consumption a lot. I think it's about 7 or 8% in consumption difference. I don't know if it's worth it, but maybe not. But don't expect a sporty drive, especially not in corners. The body roll is a bit too much, but yeah, 20-inch wheels is an extra option if you want it to be more stiff. So when it comes to comfort, there is some convenient functions in the software. For instance, automatic climate adjustments. So when it's cold outside or cold inside the car, it can automatically activate the steering wheel heater and the front seat heating. And also if it's too hot, it will also activate seat cooling. That's a good feature. Other things like using the inside air when going through tunnels, or when using the washer fluid, for instance. I'm glad to see that Hyundai is using software and incorporate that into the car to make it more convenient and automatically working. That's how it should be, so that's good. When it comes to acceleration, it's snappy. Feels a bit snappier than the Ioniq 5. This car is 120 kilograms heavier, a bit longer, but still feels quicker. Sounds strange. Maybe this one has more horsepower or more torque. It shouldn't have, because it's the same powertrain. In my next video, I'm actually going to try out acceleration, noise, consumption and range. So I guess we will know after that. I think that's it. We have looked at the exterior, we looked at the interior, some functions, and also driving, the different drive modes, etc. This is really a special car. You can really tell that Hyundai has put in a lot of effort and time to create this car. The biggest focus has been on creating a real EV from top to bottom with efficiency in mind in everything they do. In the exterior design, the low CD value, the rear end, the back spoilers, the sloping roofline. The whole design is made for efficiency. And you can really tell that by looking at the car. So it is a statement. And I think the main reason for buying this car is the efficiency. And of course also if you love the looks, but it really screams, I'm efficient. I can go far on one charge. And I think it really can. I will test that in my next video, so stay tuned for the range, acceleration, noise and consumption test. Very interesting. Can it beat the Model 3, for instance? This can be the most effective car on the market. I would have gone for exact this specification, rear wheel drive, the big battery, the small rims, because that's why this car exists. Efficiency. So don't break that. Don't go for the big rims. Don't go for the four-wheel drive. Go for the rear wheel drive, small rims, big battery. You will really maximize the range. Why do they have to sound like that? In 10 years they won't be around anymore. Let's hope so anyway. On top of the efficiency and the exterior design, there's also plenty of comfort. I like the seats, not as much as the Comfort Plus seats in Ioniq 5, but they are good. Not as good when it comes to thigh support, for instance, but that's fine. It's still a comfortable car. Feels silent. The suspension works good. It's optimized for comfort. It's a bit body rolling, so a bit soft sideways. Otherwise, really good. And I think that body roll can be avoided by going for bigger rims, but it's not that big of a problem, so go for the small rims. So what's your thoughts on the Ioniq 6? Which version should you go for? Which one do you like? Do you like the exterior of the car? Let us have a discussion in the comments below. You know, I always answer. I always try to have a conversation. So let's do that. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. It will help me to create more content exactly like this, but with other cars in the future. A lot of reviews are on the way, so stay tuned. And as always, stay electric. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.